lunch on this Thursday. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you, and we're talking about the storm potential for this afternoon as a cold front works in. And we'll talk about how cold it's going to get for your Friday and also for Saturday morning, what you should do today to prepare for that time slot of your week if you have any plans. So some of this will be old news to you because you've been following me for a while or reading my blogs or watching the lives. Others of you will be crawling out from under your rock and going, what? What happened? So this is how we're going to break that down for you. So thanks for joining me. The open caption is at the top of the screen so you can read what I have to say in case you need to mute it at your job or whatever it is that you're doing right now. That way you can still at least hear what I have to say and put the words with the maps that we'll talk about here. So this won't be a very long one, kind of a short, but sweet and to the point. Like, what? What's that? All right, so let's get on with it, shall we? First thing I need to do, let's do this right here. Okay, so Storm Prediction Center for today has a, it's not even really a slight risk. It's a marginal risk of storms in this area. Now, the issue is this is actually probably not the correct place it'll end up happening. It may be something like this for just one or two thunderstorms, so a little bit more south than this, but that's it. So we're splitting hairs, but the general idea is a couple of thunderstorms are possible, and I would say really a couple is about all we'll probably get out of it for the front itself, surface-based with the potential for severe in the short term, and then we'll talk about long term here in a minute. Now, one of the issues that's going to kind of hold us back from any widespread storm action is because we've got a lot of moisture that's running from the south to the north into the state. It's called a theta E axis, and it's creating a lot of this cloud cover and preventing temperatures from really warming up. So we'll get to get as warm today as what some of the models would like us to get storms, and I'll show you what the output looks like as a result of that. So first off, we'll look at the front today. So this is at 6 o'clock this evening. Let's see, let's draw this guy here. So this is your cold front axis right here, coming on in for that stiff north wind. So northwest Oklahoma gets the cool down. We'll still be on the warm side here in central Oklahoma. The sweet spot for any storm activity will be along this boundary. So you can see that's well north of Oklahoma City. Now this is according to this particular model. Other models vary the frontal position. Some of it have it more like this. Some of it have it again like this. So we're going to kind of go with the more northern track, which kind of lines a little bit better with the Storm Prediction Center. So this will be the areas we're going to watch for is along this front. So maybe a sweet spot here or a sweet spot here. Basically where the winds converge together really well from the north and south. That gives your best lift in the atmosphere to break through the cap, because there is a cap in place. For example, if I were to show you that, we can pick a spot up here on the map. And in this particular case, the cap is actually, I picked the sweet spot of the time frame, so whatever cap is there is going to be much weaker. So it's just a little guy right here on the sounding. So that can be overcome. This temperature's here in the mid 60s. Now, the wind shear is actually pretty decent. It's weak, but the turning with direction with height is there. Therefore, the model does put us in a risk for a marginal tornado. As a potential for that, and also in this particular case, you can get some good hail with the steep lapse rates. So that would be the kind of a threat here with this particular situation. Now, if we take a look at, let's do this. We'll go for some outputs here. All right. So this is one of our high-resolution CAN models. These are made for short-term severe weather guidance. It doesn't produce anything. It keeps the cap too strong. It keeps our temperatures too cool. Here's one. It produces one storm here just northwest of Kingfisher, looks like. And that's about it for that one. It'll last for about an hour or two, then fall apart. Let's see, that's one model. And then we've got another one here. It's got the same thing. It thinks that the cap is the weakest out here with maybe a little area of low pressure, kind of to help it off along the front. So it's out here across the I-40, out west of Clinton, say. And then let's see, another little short-term guidance says, hey, maybe that front's way down south here in the metro. It's pushed much further, and therefore we got a storm that develops here in the southwestern Canadian county. This would be the most aggressive one and the farthest to the south, and this model has been struggling as to whether or not it wants to produce a storm or not produce a storm. So I'm going to throw this one out versus the others as far as guidance goes, because it doesn't have its act together. Now, one of the models I do like to look at for severe weather is the Texas Tech model for the WRF. And it actually does have a couple of thunderstorms here along the front, up here in northwestern Oklahoma. But let me show you what happens with that, by the way. This is for 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock hour. They move kind of south toward Oklahoma City, and then they vanish. So they're only alive for a couple of hours with the rest of the daytime heating. After that, they kind of diminish. Overnight, the front will move through. And then the question on is, do we get some more storms after that? So let me take a look at that to answer your question there. And then we'll move on to the second part of this broadcast, which is the cold temperatures to follow. All right, so let's see. This particular high-resolution model doesn't produce any storms here in central Oklahoma. In other words, it keeps it capped. This is the 9 o'clock hour. And if I were to plot a sounding here in Oklahoma City, ahead of that cold front as it starts to move in, it should have a cap in place. In other words, we should have that inversion layer I mentioned a moment ago, and we'll see how that looks. And it still does. So that's this little nudge right here in the temperature profile. The surface temperature is too cold. It needs to be over here to get us to get above this bubble. So that's why storms would have a tough time hanging on once you got past 8 o'clock. Anyway, so this kind of moves through here, the front does, overnight time into early tomorrow morning. There will be some scattered elevated showers and maybe rumble of thunder. I think at worst case, you might get some small hail if a storm actually, manages to kind of get going, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, the models produce better storms out here in southeast Oklahoma over my shoulder in the far section of the state, moving on into Arkansas for tomorrow morning as the front moves through. Now, big story is going to be the temperatures with this. All right, so let's go ahead and move on into Friday morning. Actually, let's just take a look at this step here. This will be a faster way of doing it. So this is a look at Friday morning temperatures. All right, we're 36 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 44 in Tulsa, 31 in northwest Oklahoma. So the models came in stronger with the colder air this time around. So there will be a light freeze across northwest Oklahoma Friday morning. Not here in central Oklahoma. It won't be a frost because the winds will be too strong. Now, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to rebound into the 40s. We got 50s out west, 40s central and east. Maybe some upper 30s hanging in there in crossfire northeast Oklahoma for Friday afternoon. It's going to be a cold, brutal day. All right. Saturday, this is where you have to protect those vegetation situations with the flowers and whatever you planted, because we're going to have a good frost here across central Oklahoma, a good freeze across northern Oklahoma. This is one of those hills that lasts a few hours. So it's not just going to be half an hour or a few minutes. It's going to be several hours. So this is one of those damaging frosts in a freeze that would cause some problems with your plants. So again, you need to bundle up. So if you've been under a rock for the last few days, this is basically your last warning to get out there and do what you got to do. Because I know you've been planting stuff, because so have I. Because the weather's nice and you're trapped indoors, you got nothing else to do. Let's get out there and plant. Let me show you how this looks on some of the other conditions you can look at. We'll go with the wind chill for Friday. I know it's been a while since we talked about wind chill, right? We're going to do that, though. All right, let's get on with it. Whoa, does that say what that says? Feels like 26 in Oklahoma City, 19 in Woodward. Oh, my goodness, that's Friday morning. Friday afternoon is going to feel like 27 at lunchtime. I'm telling you, you do not want to be outside on Friday. When I said brutal, I meant brutal. Now in the afternoon, the winds will die down, so the wind chills won't be as bad. You can see they kind of relax a little bit. Now on Saturday morning, the winds should become very, very light and variable. Hence the reason for the frost and the... matter of fact, how strong will the winds be tomorrow? Up to around 22 knots at most. So it's still a pretty good breeze, up to around 30 miles an hour. Okay, and then here's Saturday morning. And we have, in most of the northwestern part of the state, we have winds less than 10 knots. Here in central Oklahoma, about 10 knots. So the winds do start to pick up rather quickly in the morning hours. There's 15 knots. So that's good. It's a saving grace for a frost. All right, so you need those winds to kick up in the morning. But, however, they should be relatively light overnight. So the question will be, is this model completely accurate when it comes to exact wind speeds? No. It's an estimation. I would assume you would have winds less than 10 miles per hour overnight into early Saturday morning, hence the frost and hence the freeze. All right, so model guidance is good, but it will not always be completely 100% accurate. All right, so I covered the frost, covered the potential for a couple of severe storms later today out north and west Oklahoma. Again, my favorite area will be out into along that frontal boundary, and I'll go ahead and show you. Let's see, which one did I prefer? We can split the difference. This one's not bad. So this would be up here into, this is Canadian County here, Oklahoma County here. So this is Oklahoma City greater metro area. Guthrie's right about here. Then as you head up toward Kingfisher and then out toward Blaine County, a couple of thunderstorms likely in this favorite area up here that got circled in yellow. The other area in yellow. And then those will fall apart as they move south and east. But could have some brief hail with them. And if things go just right, I mean, they would have to be just right. Potential for a very weak, brief tornado. But that's very, very low. But it's not zero, so I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. All right? So you know what to do in those particular cases, and that is, if you were to find yourself under that storm, it'd be easy to see, because it'll be the only one. It'd be coming right at you. And you'd have to, first off, use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It'll warn you if it's got a developing tornado before it even produces one, which is good. It's pretty cool how it does it. It takes a look at the high-res model data, compares it with a lot of indices that we know in the research world as to what produces tornadoes. And it kind of combines that into a basket, if you will. And then it gives you an alert based off of that, and it tells you, hey, this storm has potential for a tornado. So it'll give you a twisting storm alert. It'll give you a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. If it's a 1, 2, 3, it means it's very low. It means there's enough rotation in it to kind of trigger the algorithm. But as far as we're concerned, an imminent tornado is not likely in that case. Now, once it gets up to around a 4, 5, or 6, watch it, because it may be ramping up to do so. And then if you get an alert that's got a 7, 8, 9, or 10, just go ahead and hit the shelters, because that typically means at that point in time, it's going to be a tornado, and it'll be coming directly toward you. Because remember, this app warns you based off of your specific location. It's not a overall county warning. It's not a northern part of the city warning, southern part of the city warning. It's a latitude, longitude, GPS based, your physical address. So that's very specific. So pay attention when those warnings go off, because it's going to be near your area. And there will be a little bit of a cushion in the app for a little erratic movement in a storm, which can sometimes happen, especially if they rotate. So there's a little bit of that built in, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. So if you've used it, in the past, you know exactly how it works. It's called AT's Weather to Go, and that'll keep you safe from that threat. So I'll monitor it. I don't really expect anything, but it is springtime. Crazy things have happened, and that's kind of what I'm here for. Meanwhile, go about your business. I would enjoy the last warm day you have for a while, and then go and do some planting. But like I said, you have to cover those, or maybe get them all ready to go, and just like stick the little things that come in little plastic cases, whatever, where they're going to be stationed, and then you can pick them up and move them back in the garage and put them back out. That might be an easier way to do it, rather than just going ahead and digging in the dirt. I can tell you what. I can take a look at the weekend. Since it is Thursday, let's just go ahead and do that. So if you got to go ahead. If you want to hang around just for a second, we'll knock this out real quick. Let's see how it looks. Because I have not looked, honestly. I've been busy. Busy. Okay, let's see. Let's get past Saturday morning and the afternoon. We rebound in the low 50s, so Saturday won't be that bad later in the day, just kind of brutal in the morning. Then as we head into Sunday, not a repeat of the freeze or the frost. That's good news. It'll be in the 40s statewide. And then in the afternoon, how about that? Back into the mid-60s. That looks pretty good. Now, I believe there was some indications earlier on of some cloud cover and maybe possibility of a little bit of rain. So let's take a look at that, see if that's still kind of in the forecast or not. Don't see it on this model. Looking good. So let's stick with this one. Looks like it's got the bulk of the rain moving across Texas for Saturday. And then it keeps it out of Oklahoma with weaker high pressure that has moved on in. So that's good. So right now it looks like a pretty decent weekend. I can see the cloud cover will still be around, because you might want some sun. Let's see. The blue is the saturation of the cloud cover, by the way. So on it's not. Yeah, it is. Okay. I was making sure, because what can also help to save you from a frost or a freeze sometimes is a cloud cover. And this particular model is trying to keep the cloud cover hanging in there for Saturday morning. That's a different output, and it's a fine line. It's like right here. That's too close to call. So we'll see what happens with that. But either way, on Saturday afternoon into Sunday, clouds still kind of hang around. So it won't be a gorgeous weekend by any stretch of the imagination. It'll be a cool to mild one. with kind of off and on peaks of sun. So there you go. There's your weekend, how that breaks down. All right. Well, I'll keep tabs on things for later on today, and we'll see how the freeze and frost stacks up and the new data that comes in for later on today and tomorrow as well. Meanwhile, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a rest of your great afternoon. We'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.